women's sports, women's leadership opportunities, women's safety eliminated in many cases. And now, of course, one of the challenges you're going to face is you've got a host of colleges and universities who are openly defying, not just this administration, they're defying court orders.
Following the Bostock case, OCR had to step back and determine how Bostock applied to Title IX cases. So what we held is that Bostock could inform a limited sect of OCR cases pertaining to different treatment, pertaining to harassment, pertaining to bullying, but we drew a hard line at universally accepting Bostock to apply to all Title IX cases.
A heated debate continues to unfold in American education over the interpretation of Title IX, a federal law enacted in 1972 to prohibit sex-based discrimination in schools and colleges that receive federal funding. Traditionally, Title IX has been a cornerstone for advancing women's rights, particularly in school athletics, academics, and protection against harassment.
Just about the benefit to foreign students, it's a benefit to the United States, to our global competitiveness. Is that something you would agree to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll yield back.
Thank you. Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the nominees. Thank you for being here. Mr. Chief, if I could just start with you. I just want to clarify something that you said to Senator Baldwin a moment or two ago. She asked you about OCR investigations into alleged cases of discrimination on the basis of gender identity under Title IX. And you said, I think, I'm looking at our quick transcript of your remarks. I was sitting here. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. You said that the OCR, Department of Ed OCR, would investigate alleged cases of gender identity discrimination? Why is that?
Thank you for the question, Senator, and for the opportunity to have a detailed discussion about it. So in 2017, OCR clarified that transgender students, that students who bring allegations forth based on sexual orientation and gender identity were protected from harassment under Title IX. Sex stereotyping, a very narrow set of cases applied to protect students on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. That was back in 2017. Following the Bostock case, OCR had to step back and determine how Bostock applied to Title IX cases. There are a lot of reasons it didn't apply, and I can walk through those because they're significant. But what OCR finally determined is that because of the holding in Bostock, that Bostock could inform OCR's evaluation of complaints that allege discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation identity to determine if they involve biological sex, which is consistent with the Bostock opinion. So what we held is that Bostock could inform a limited sect of OCR cases pertaining to different treatment, pertaining to harassment, pertaining to bullying, but we drew a hard line at universally accepting Bostock to apply to all Title IX cases. What we said is that because the Supreme Court said that biological sex was not relevant in the termination of those employees in Bostock, that we would also look at the relevance of sex in our cases. And what we determined is that sex is relevant in certain instances. Sex is relevant with regard to restrooms. Sex is relevant with regard to locker rooms. And sex is relevant with regard to athletic teams. So it was a very nuanced approach.
But sex is not gender identity. And the Bostock decision is Title VII. The Supreme Court specifically reserved the question of whether or not it applied to Title IX. Justice Gorsuch is very clear on this. Now, the Biden administration didn't heed that warning at all, as you know.
Yes, sir.
They subsequently issued guidance that attempted to rewrite Title IX completely.
Yes.
That guidance has been enjoined nationally by courts because it is utterly inconsistent with the text of Title IX. Indeed, as you know, it completely upends it. It reads Title IX to say that women's sports cease to exist, that a biological man, if he wants to be in a woman's sport, go for it. In a woman's locker room, fine. It's so outrageous that I think almost every court that has considered it has enjoined it.
I agree.
So, okay, I just want to be sure that you're not going to follow the Biden administration's interpretation of Title IX, surely.
No, sir. The Biden administration universally accepted Bostock and arguably exceeded, right? Went even further, I think.
Not arguably.
Than the Bostock opinion. That is not what we did under President Trump's first term, and that is not what we will do under President Trump's second term.
Good. Okay. I want to be crystal clear on this. That I think it's a very dangerous thing to start allowing this into Title IX, which is, it is a landmark statute. It is vitally important, and it has been under attack for 4 very long years, where we have seen women's sports, women's leadership opportunities, women's safety eliminated in many cases. And now, of course, one of the challenges you're going to face is you've got a host of colleges and universities who are openly defying, not just this administration, they're defying court orders.
In recent years, the focus has shifted toward whether Title IX also protects against discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. This debate intensified following the Supreme Court's 2020 decision in Bostock v. Clayton County, which ruled that firing an employee for being gay or transgender violates Title VIA law concerning workplace discrimination. While the ruling applied only to employment, the Biden administration extended its logic to education, directing schools to treat gender identity as a protected category under Title IX. This shift sparked controversy. Supporters argue it's a necessary step to protect LGBTQ+ students from discrimination. Critics like Senator Josh Hawley, RMO, claim that it undermines the original intent of Title IX by eroding protections for biological females, especially in areas such as women's sports, locker rooms, and private spaces. During a recent Senate confirmation hearing, Hawley questioned a nominee for a leadership role in the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, OCR. He challenged the nominee to reject the Biden administration's interpretation of Title IX and instead enforce it based strictly on biological sex. Hawley warned that some schools are ignoring court rulings that have blocked the Biden-era guidance, and he urged the OCR to enforce Title IX as it was originally written. The nominee responded by affirming that under the previous administration, OCR took a more limited view, only investigating gender identity claims when they directly related to biological sex-based discrimination. He promised a return to that narrower approach if confirmed. This ongoing legal and political battle reflects deeper questions about how to balance gender identity rights with sex-based protections in education. As the courts, lawmakers, and school administrators grapple with the implications, the future of Title IX remains uncertain, and the stakes are high for students across the country.
I hear a lot of talk from my friends over here on this side of the dais about the need to follow court orders. We've got a whole bunch of colleges and administrations that are defying court orders and saying, well, we don't care. We're going to have biological men in women's sports no matter what. We're going to have biological men in women's locker rooms no matter what. Surely you're going to go after that, are you not, and protect the women on campus?
Yes, sir. The current leadership within OCR and Secretary McMahon, as you know, is prioritizing these cases, and that will not stop under my leadership if I'm fortunate enough to assume this role.
Good. And I want to be on the record to back to your regulations both in 2017 and 2020. I think you might want to rethink those. I mean, in light of subsequent jurisprudence and in light, frankly, of subsequent experience, I think you want to take a really hard look at how you're interpreting gender identity and the interface. We've had there's some water under the bridge now, and the interface with biological sex and just how that's being used to undermine the rights of it's never the rights of men, it's always the rights of women, 100% of the time. And I think we've got to be very careful about that.
Thank you.
My time has expired, and the chairman, I'm such a good citizen, I never go over. So I'll just submit some questions for the record for you, Dr. Schwinn, and others. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hawley. Senator King.